has gotten really, really good at ball control in general. A lot of air dribbles, a lot of forcing people to come and take the ball off you, and Senbei may need a little bit of extra time, despite having some time, of course, to warm up with scrims. Of course, it does, it scrims it a little differently than the actual game. You never know what you're going to expect, and it definitely seems like Senbei coming out here swinging a little bit harder and faster, I should say, at the start of game 2. Definitely willing to get a little bit more up there and fight for the ball.
Yeah, and granted, you get an extra game in this best of 7, but I think you almost have to come out with that fire, as early on the physicality and the demos of OpTic Gaming will be ringing true through the back line. Orange now completely locked down by the boys in blue. Illusion going to take it off the side ball and look for the extension, burning a lot of boost to keep up with this ball, but centered out and controlled. Missed. Looking for the carry. He will find it. Quickly denied. Senbei on the defensive end, looking pretty good.
And even OpTic, they know that they can sense that Senbei's coming out here a little bit faster. They too themselves trying to balance the scales at the start of game 2, putting a little bit more pressure out of the midfield, seeing if they can maybe get some of those demos, open up a little bit of extra space to work with.
That's a big miss by Senbei as Dries got a bit physical and was able to corral some of those defenders out of the zone. Goal now completely open for a chance. A potential follow-up second touch will be there for OpTic, but now a double commit on the other side of the field. And we looked at that midfield pressure in game 1. OpTic Gaming did a fantastic job of maintaining it. And yet again, we find those rotational players off the island finding more and more touches that just helps this offense continue.
Nice touch from Realize, unfortunately, but that's where you really might see the difference there. They had the time and the space to find the clear, and they went for the immediate punt, and it's that recognition that's the toughest thing to come through, but Realize towards the net, saved by Dries, and here's a good chance for Senbei to really get the offense going if they can hold possession.
They caught OpTic a little bit stagnant at the midfield, and that counterattack began to blossom just as quickly as it started, but with the demo here, you have to think numbers advantage will be there for Senbei. A long clear and a booming one at that, a miss off the back wall, a chance, a follow-up, still centered out, in the front of the box, off the top bar, follow-up will be good, and Sig gets Senbei their first goal.
Great press from Senbei. Started off with a big clear down the pitch, trying to keep OpTic honest, make sure that they can't just press as much as they want in the midfield, and they're saying, we'll just keep sending it deep back. Finally, they missed a touch to throw it into the corner, and Senbei just jumped all over it.
First points in this series for Senbei. Finally coming in Aquadome, and think one of the hardest points to get really is that first goal. The redirect from Dries was almost on target. The follow-up from Mist. And OpTic now threatening on the pressure, looking for those extra 50 wins that could give them a 1-1 ball game.
Chance for OpTic. Unfortunate backflip there from Dries. Maybe he wasn't certain he was going to actually make it or be uncontested. And OpTic having to fight from finally not the seat of power. Has a chance to equalize towards the net. Great save from Sig, camped out on the backboard.
It's been a couple of interesting challenges from OpTic, trying to restabilize and recover mid-air. And usually what had been free real estate in game 1, now a couple of double commits from both teams, but not a clear possession on the defensive end. Senbei trying their best to clear out. Quality shot, and it floats its way through. No one putting a hand up, and OpTic have tied it.
Right past the last man, diving back for the strikers here. Weak clear from Realize, coming above the ball, not really able to get anything on it. And Sig, expecting the shot to go near post, took a big dive at it and unfortunately got to put it right over the back shoulder. OpTic find an equalizer.
That's a great shot from the elbow by OpTic to capitalize on the man disadvantage. Again, the zone defense from Senbei had worked somewhat in game 1, just didn't have the offense to respond with. Another quality attempt there, but clearly denied and quickly dumped back out. Another center has missed, was overextending into the box, and luckily found another possession for OpTic. Here comes it right back up the gut, and Illusion will give OpTic the lead.
And way to storm back if you're OpTic Gaming. Sig trying to come across, take that ball away into the corner, unfortunately mishits it, ends up putting it off his own backboard, and OpTic able to capitalize on the missed touch, take a quick lead back the other way.
Greenwall goes from the defensive end all the way with 3 men up and capitalizes now a 2-1 ball game with about 2 minutes to play, some odd change on the clock. But possession here on the back pass, potentially more in the cards for OpTic Gaming. For Senbei, keys to victory right now, it seemed that the stagnated possessions they had downfield one at a time had worked just to clear space, but not enough to continue the play.
And OpTic, now you regain control of the game. Do you try and slow down a little bit here? Because this one has been a significantly faster pace here in game 2. Now that you have an actual lead, do you try and bring it back to where game 1 was, where you know you don't really have to do too much?
Well, defense has been better from Senbei, but we haven't seen that transition into quality offensive looks as of now. Things could certainly turn around, but it would take a little bit more musto to get there. As off the backboard we will go. And looking for a possession down to the ground, popping it high yet again. OpTic more than happy to let this one continue on the trend that it is. Sharply off the backboard, no touch. A couple of misses here from the boys in green, but they will clear it out.
It's a good idea actually from Sig to let that one go and just trust Ten how to get control of the ball. They know that they need to find a way to gain possession, and you can't afford misses like that, but also don't want to be reckless with how you're touching the ball out to the sides and towards the midfield, because if you start not thinking about where you're putting it, you're going to end up putting it right into where OpTic's waiting.
And Drees playing a little bit more laterally. Great cut into the box. And Drees with a perfect shot. The saucy little salamander gets it done again.
It's not a bad idea, Sig trying to drop it down, but when you miss the touch and both your teammates are expecting it, they have to try and adjust in a position where they're just not set up to try and handle anything quickly across the field. They end up losing the challenge. Nobody's there to back it up. OpTic going to take a comfortable lead towards the end of game 2.
It was a couple of booming clears for both teams, but OpTic eventually did find a space in the infield they had been looking for the start of this game. And in this series, looking primed to go up 2-0 in a best of 7, that does feel almost like series point. There's a lot of weight now for Senbei to try to get this one back. No tactical timeouts in these opening matches, but a chance for a shot and a great punch through. Tenhao shuts up the haters. It's 3-2.
Hello, Tenhao giving themselves a chance here. That's another missed touch off the backboard, and this time Mist is just trying to figure out how he's going to find a way to save this, and that's all down to placement from Tenhao. Excellent shot all the way to the back post. Make sure to keep it as far away as possible. It's doable here.
Well, they finally got a rebound to land their way, and that second touch certainly helped to open up the opportunity, but only 20 seconds to go. Here in game number 2, OpTic and Senbei going head-to-head. Game 1 was, I guess you consider it a blowout, 3-0, but it was anything but if you looked at just the way the game was played. Very much a casual approach for both teams. 10 seconds now, looking for a goal, but OpTic applying the pressure and denying this push, but back out of midfield. There's a redirect. Anyone else to follow? Senbei now pushing numbers up, clear off the backboard. It should be kept up, and it might be, as Tenhao will play it off the sidewall. OpTic should just kill this ball if they get possession, and Drees trying to do just that. Will let it fall, still alive into the corner.
Way to close it down. Don't overthink it. Just double tap it into the floor. OpTic close out 2 in a row now. They're doing a great job here in this series. And Senbei strikers definitely liked the idea. Came out a lot stronger or a lot faster, forcing OpTic to adjust to the pace of play that they wanted to set. I like the idea of trying to take control, even if you don't necessarily have the mechanics or are used to that pace of play. Coming out and forcing OpTic to play at their speed in the way that they wanted to approach is a nice idea.
I mean, even looking just at the post-game report, a much more structured and simple stat card there for Senbei, and I think that is a good progression through game number 2. Unfortunately, just faltering a little bit, down by 1 goal, but that is credit to the infield play from OpTic Gaming. They find that pass, Drees with a great rebound and redirect, and he finds that goal to kind of give them that substantial lead. 3-1's tough to come back from.
And they opened it up quite nicely as well, finally finding a way to capitalize on some physicality, getting a little bit more in the face of Senbei, and that's really where the defense started to collapse there for Senbei strikers. Like, yeah, we're willing to play at this fast, aggressive pace, but when you start having to add in the fact of now we have to make sure we don't get demoed, and that's throwing you into some more awkward positions to try and approach the ball from, starting to make more missed touches, and OpTic there to capitalize.
I mean, defense works throughout most series, but you also need good offense to calculate that into a potential drive downfield. They've had moments there, but it really came down to the rebounds. When they found them, they found goals. When they didn't, they struggled with just shot percentage overall.
Yeah. So if you're OpTic Gaming, you're feeling pretty good because you've got the, okay, we played exactly how we wanted in game 2.
Yeah.
Okay, we got exactly how Senbei wanted to play in game 2, and we still won. So now you're sitting there thinking, cool, we feel like we've got this one pretty unlocked. So going into game 3, OpTic, as far as you're concerned, no adjustments to be made. You've seen both sides of the coin so far.
Well, 2 games in a row, 2 kickoffs that OpTic Gaming have had at least some semblance of a possession, and Illusion sneaks it through for the opening goal.
Not fair. Tough one to handle for Senbei strikers. Drees steals the boost. The guy is missing the challenge on the backboard, and Tenhao's like, no, it's so slow. I can't just dive across the net. I have to do this weird drive around the corner of the goal so I don't just fall into the goal like a limp fish. And there's no way he's getting back to that. Great placement.
All smiles from Illusion in the picture, but I think if you are OpTic, let alone Senbei, you're kind of happy that a lot of these small mistakes, these small misses are happening in the start of a series rather than, you know, it being a double elimination bracket. Swiss is a little bit more forgiving, but it also means you have to work a little bit harder to get yourself through towards the next portion of this tournament. But early on, an opening goal for OpTic and a big clear by Illusion could set something else up if the boys in blue can get back to midfield.
And I don't hate the idea of Senbei trying to go back to what initially got them on the board in their first, in game 2, I should say, sorry. They were, what a catch. Oh my gosh, Illusion with a great reaction. Seeing a missed touch from Senbei strikers on the goal line. Says, hang on, we can actually get that. Try and throw it into this lower corner. Mist is going to come steal it from him, but as far as I'm concerned, Alu scored that goal.
Great follow-up from OpTic up at midfield, but it's like you were saying, do you want to hold that for a moment? Well,
yeah.
This one does punch his way through. Great catch on the rebound, and we've seen that time and time again from this OpTic roster, doing a phenomenal job being able to get those extra opportunities. But on the other side now, a couple of bumps. Trying to find that open net, a chance. That one will ring around, and eventually clangs its way off the right post, falls its way in, and cuts the lead down to 1.
Nice job from Tenhao. And again, OpTic, I'm surprised that they're missing all these touches off the walls and off the backboard. I mean, that's exactly what I was worried about. You can't give them things that you should be handling fairly simply on the defensive side of things, and that's what's keeping Senbei in these games. Mistakes like that.
I think the benefit for OpTic is they've been outscoring their mistakes. They've been giving themselves 2-3 goal leads, which just helps if you do make those whiffs. And another long clear as Tenhao will try to cut it down to the corner, and now numbers continue to commit, colliding into one another, ball stuck in traffic, hanging precariously for anyone to grab, and finally it will happen. Another double commit sends it towards the back wall. Both teams looking for that tight possession they have yet to find. And I think if you're OpTic, you're happy to play this game of Rocket League.
Absolutely. And what I was wanting to see from Senbei potentially is exactly this nice long clear from Realize, force OpTic to give up the space in the midfield, see if you can find a way to play that dump and chase strat. Maybe you're ahead on the boost on transition somewhere and you'll be able to find a gap, because I don't think the really ground dribble game is really where you're going to find a lot of success if you're Senbei strikers. You got to keep OpTic honest and force them to give you space.
Yeah, absolutely. You got plenty of boost right now if you are Senbei, but not really enough for the follow-up attempt for OpTic. So much in the tank to work with to clear this ball off the back wall. And Illusion will run point, loses the 50, but does maintain possession and gives it away to his teammate on a little dump pass that basically skirts this ball into the adjacent corner before Dries flies his way in for a possession off the backboard, looking for a challenge. No one else there. You do get 2 to commit, but OpTic did their job just to clear the ball away.
Ooh, great demo, and that physicality coming back. Now that forces Senbei to go on the attack with only 2 people and having to play a little more conservatively with how they try and control the ball. And that means, unfortunately for them, they end up losing possession. Nice touch from Realize, trying to keep possession towards the sides of the pitch, not out in the front of the net.
The green wall's been there defensively, but now looking for their 3rd goal of the game. If you are Senbei, you've gotten 3 goals so far in this series. Certainly need a little bit more. Dries looking for the solo extension, won't find it. Quickly taken away. Possession now for Senbei, and a 50 win that could set up a potential swing through the middle, but no one else converting or moving up midfield. These dangerous shots are easily read.
Ooh, towards the middle now. Here's where it gets a little squirrely. That's a great takeaway from Mist, understanding how that challenge was going to interact and regain all that position on their own half. So OpTic, again, all about game control here.
They're letting Dries do what he wants. You can see OpTic oftentimes pinging 2 back, pulling him on the counterattacks, and just letting it be an ISO ball. Dries can handle
that.
Exactly, like he can handle the pressure on the backboard, he can get physical. Now it's Illusion's turn. Dries and Mist will stay back until their number is called, but in this moment there is no need to overextend because you've been handling the pressure.
Nice dump to the middle. Can you reach it? Another miss from OpTic gives Senbei the chance to clear the ball, but here's Mist off the ceiling towards the wall, and unfortunately everybody gonna come up empty, and maybe a transition here. That's towards the goal. Can you get there? Don't even have to. Realize we'll collect it for free.
Finally, challenges at the midfield do pay dividends as Realize puts it right on target, and Sigmatic closes the deal.
I like when I just smash the ball off the sidewall and it goes off the defender and goes right into their own net. That makes me giggle.
That's just silly.
You'll take that any day of the week, though, if you're Senbei strikers, and be like, yep, you double committed. You deserve it.
Well, those are the kind of goals that if you get an opportunity to take those shots, we saw V1 do it in the last major, you're going to have to do it time and time again. You're not going to get much more of a freebie than that one. And now is the time to take the lead with a minute to go. And possession, flips it towards the midfield. Sig is up with it off the backboard. A double tap certainly will be good. And Sig gives Senbei the lead.
And they're popping off every time they score, letting everyone know that they're happy with it. That's a great touch from Sig. The receive and not to go straight towards net, take it towards the backboard, hit the double tap, take it away from the defender. Great control from Sig there.
Big response in game number 3 and the most pivotal part of this series and the start of our Swiss bracket. But that demo opens it up as Illusion leaves it on a platter, and Dries closes the deal.
Oh, you're making some good plays, but you give one back in return. You let OpTic back into the game, and Illusion says, yeah, I know you can take it up towards the backboard and go for a double tap, but you can also take it up off the ceiling to beat the last man and collect a nice, easy equalizer.
I mean, Senbei did nothing wrong. They just got demoed, and when there's nobody in the net, probably not going to save that one. Again, another demo leading the way of OpTic, but how will these things play out for the moment? Mist trying to get back into the play. Numbers advantage as of now for Senbei. Back to full strength, and he escapes. He has boost. Just needs one infield pass. The skirt around slows it in the front of the box. Is anybody else around for Senbei? No. We squeeze it back out to midfield, and the counterattack begins for OpTic Gaming.
That was one you had to score for your Senbei. I understand that it was heading up the side of the pitch quickly, but the fact that OpTic made that massive of a misplay, nobody was back. It was just a matter of, can you pinch it around and have someone be in position, and you don't capitalize on a huge mistake like that? Devastating.
A bit of a misflip there from Aleutian. Confusion on the defensive line for OpTic. Now a chance to pounce. It's center back out. Is anyone else around to swing into the play? A little bit late, and that might do it. We could be seeing OT, but up to miss. Looking for the, call it a half musty, as Aleutian keeps it alive. Still alive for Dries as well. Looking for the challenge. It should be killed, and it will. Great touch by 10 now. Golden goal opportunity here in game number 3.
Frustrating situation if you're Senbei strikers. Should have had the win probably 3-2, but could have had it 4-3 either way. And unfortunately for them, OpTic find a way, wiggle back into position, force in overtime. Now you got to be very careful here.
That's a dangerous shot, cutting it right down on the point of contact. OpTic applying the pressure and a big demo that can open up the back line. It certainly does. The net is open, and OpTic have game 3.
Oh, that's tough. That one stings. If you are Senbei strikers, you played a good game. You finally found a way through, but missed. So aggressive up there in the front, trying to make things happen the way he wants them to. And he will deliver the OT winner. That puts OpTic up 3 games in the series. And Aleutian's having a little chuckle. He's like, yeah, bro. This game's so easy.
All vibes, all smiles from OpTic Gaming, but I think the big takeaway is, though it isn't a crushing defeat in game number 3, it's a frustrating one because it's still only the first series, but you have to feel like Senbei, from their perspective, they had that game under control. They had an opportunity to put it away multiple times, and they just couldn't do it.
It was all the way, as far as I'm concerned, that one was theirs for the taking. This one should probably be 2-1 as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately for them, though, they just slightly misplay it, and that one comes back to haunt them, and now you're in a deep hole in the best of 7, and it's a long way back from here. And OpTic have found the way back from the pace. Now they found their way back from a goal deficit. They found their way to and just forged ahead in the first game where they just didn't give away hardly anything. And you're thinking, boy, I mean, OpTic kind of tried to hand us that game 3 and we couldn't take it. So this is a lot to handle if you're Senbei strikers here.
I think the positive takeaway at this point, you're down 3-0. We had a quick discussion before the series kicked off. What do you do in that situation? I think the best silver lining is not only were the touches more of an equilibrium in that game, more possessions there for Senbei, but also more saves. Granted, they lost the game, but their defense is stepping up when it needs to. It's just been the other side of the coin. The offense has been struggling.
Yes, and the way it's got there has been some good ideas. Again, I like the long, clear opportunity. You have to force OpTic to give you space to work with, and it's really about how you capitalize and execute on that space, and that's really where OpTic Gaming in general, that defensive stability, again, to walk back to from the start of the series, has generally always been pretty consistent for them.
You're going to need that consistency here in the Coliseum. It's a great kickoff win, but Senbei looking to rally that into more positive movement downfield. A couple of misses early, but nothing too dangerous, as we'll redirect it towards the back wall. And if you're OpTic, you know, they've played in cruise control. They've played with their backs against the wall in this series. It seems that nothing that Senbei throws at them they can't handle. I don't think they're going to be straying from the game plan here in Game 4.
No reason to. You've got 3-game wins. Don't have to do anything different. And changing things for the sake of changing them is how you're going to breed inconsistency and how you approach the game. So right now, it's all on Senbei to find something that's going to work.
Well, a couple of double commits from both teams, but it's been in free space where not a lot of punishment can be made, so Senbei more than happy to give away that midfield line for the moment. And finally, we'll send up Tenhal. Can he maintain possession? Well, he gets a win and leaves it up to his teammate. Great shot. It sneaks its way around, and Realize gives them the lead.
Big smash from Realize out of the side. This is good positioning and just takes a very favorable hop on that challenge. I mean, that's just being positioned well and giving yourself the best chance to find success, and Realize did just that. Wasn't anything complicated, just playing support for his teammate. He's in the right place at the right time, makes the perfect shot on target. Can't do anything about it.
All 3 members of OpTic were totaled up on the goal line. That shot had to be as accurate as it was. Great pinch off the ground. We've seen more and more teams look for those bounce passes to find those second chance opportunities. As Dries is still fighting for his life through the back wall. Eventually that ball will escape and he'll be left up to miss his own devices before he gets cleared off the play. Around 1, a bump through, and almost sneaks it around, but OpTic denying it potentially. Another 50 comes in. OpTic not letting anything sneak through.
Everybody on OpTic here real strapped for boost. Dries very happy to collect 100 in his own corner and try and buy a little extra time, but Senbei strikers unwilling to concede any space, and they're forcing OpTic to just dump this one away so they even have the time to move up the pitch and try and find some boost to work with.
Lucian playing for that back corner boost on the opposite side of the field, trying to take resources away from Senbei. Off target on the shot, but still a shot nonetheless. Alive from Tenhao, off the back wall, cleared away. The defensive OpTic denying a lot of these pushes.
Oh, he's gonna chip it. Okay, I like the idea. He just didn't have the support. I think the chip up to the backboard is smart because it's going to beat all the defenders. It just fell apart because no one's actually there to jump up there and try and follow through. As missed here, it'll be blocked out. And Senbei still finding a way to hold on to this one-goal lead.
Reminiscent of game one, but more chances now for Senbei. They put more and more together on the board, and the state certainly seems to be swinging towards their favor of all the time to do it in this best of 7. It is now. Backs against the wall. Series point now for OpTic Gaming, up 1-0. As OpTic look for the response. A great challenge in midfield. We'll cut this one down on the offensive side of the ball. Missed, can't find the touch. And these chippy challenges from Senbei have kept OpTic up in the air, burning boost.
It's been a good way to make sure. Oh, but the net's wide open. Oh, Tenhao, I don't even think he knew that this one was coming. We'll have to take a look. So off the corner. Yeah, he's not even thinking about driving back to net. He's just like, yeah, I'll find a way to figure it out. And then you kind of hear somebody jump behind you, and that's when you go, oh no, we've made a terrible miscalculation here.
We have made a terrible mistake as OpTic cuts into the lane. And they get themselves an equalizer. It's one of those goals that sneaks through where you kind of just shaking your heads like, did that just really happen? Did we just let that up? It's so frustrating for sure. But for OpTic, they took advantage of one small gap, and they're able to tie up this game.
Definitely an awkward situation for Tenhao to manage. Obviously, he doesn't have any boost in that situation, so it's not like he can feel comfortable driving all the way back to net and trying to save a shot. So probably just trying to manage the situation with what he could actually do, and unfortunately, that kind of made him look like he wasn't really in position at all. But what are you going to do? Sometimes you get caught out. And again, that lets OpTic back into the game.
Well, the Green Wall looking to start off the World Championship run on a 4-0 sweep, which would be an impressive way to do it. Granted, the matchup might not be favoring Senbei in this spot, but a team who are capable nonetheless. We've seen them do it in their own region. We've seen them do it a couple of times internationally. Still looking for that big key win, that big moment where they kind of solidify the proof of concept for this squad. So far, struggling against OpTic, but a 1-1 ball game and plenty of time for them to grab the lead. Potential swing to the corner, but possession to get yet again cut down. And now it seems that the OpTic defense has had a nice response to clear out some of that pressure.
I believe another overtime here. Senbei strikers consistently feeling pretty confident, trying to send 2 forward and willing to play the 1 deep back. And while that's put them in some tight positions, it has resulted in more offensive pressure for them overall throughout the course of the series. So wouldn't expect them to try and go for something different and allow more space. As missed, definitely had everybody beat to that ball, but nobody making contact, and 30 seconds left in regulation.
Might have ran out of boost. Both teams a little bit low for the moment. Counterattack begins to open up as Mist will try to take point and gets it around 1 off the backboard. Trees to the center. Still live for OpTic, but not very threatening at the moment. We've seen that before where Senbei have been able to find a moving clear, but they missed it again, and it's given right back to OpTic. Another chance for a challenge. It will be there. Enough numbers around? No. Can Senbei find the clear with 5 seconds to go? Ball still alive on the orange side of the field. Dries following in. Great touch. Backboard. OpTic alive. Still up for anyone's ball. A touch. A chance. It's good from Aleutian. And OpTic take the series 4-0.
Oh, they get a huge bump here on the net. Look at Tenhao. Gets clipped on the way up. Doesn't have a clean approach on the ball. And who's there to drive it home? The old faithful Aleutian. OpTic going to take this one in 4.